History Spotlight, brought to you by HEC Media and the Missouri Historical Society.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jody Sowell, president of the Missouri Historical Society in St. Louis, and this is History Spotlight. In 1817, a deadly duel on Bloody Island between Thomas Hart Benton and Charles Lucas revealed how honor, pride, and violence collided in the early days of St. Louis. Museum educator Andy Primm explains.
Thomas Hart Benton, one of Missouri's first two senators, had a long and colorful career, first as a soldier, then an attorney, and then as a politician. But before he was ever elected senator, Benton became notorious for a pair of duels he fought in 1817. Those contests ended with Benton killing one of his courtroom rivals, a promising young St. Louis attorney from a prominent French family named Charles Lucas. The dispute between Benton and Lucas began as a professional disagreement. The two men faced each other on opposite sides of a contentious legal dispute in 1816, in which Lucas emerged victorious. The conflict escalated a few months later when Lucas publicly questioned Benton's eligibility to vote. This led to Benton calling Lucas, who was 10 years younger, a puppy. This word seems to have carried an extremely disrespectful and insulting connotation at the time, and Lucas demanded satisfaction. The two parties quickly set a time for a private interview, a colloquial term for a duel. On the morning of August 12, 1817, Benton and Lucas met on Bloody Island, a small island on the Mississippi that was seen as a kind of no man's land between Missouri and Illinois. They agreed on a formal set of rules, that each would carry a pistol, that they would walk until they were 30 feet apart, and that upon receiving a signal, they would fire. Lucas struck Benton with only a glancing blow, but Benton's shot took Lucas in the neck. Though seriously wounded, Lucas survived, and at first it seemed that the matter was settled. But in the weeks that followed, Benton began to hear rumors that he had not played fair. Benton, a better marksman than Lucas, was accused of choosing a wide distance to give himself an advantage. And furthermore, Benton believed that Lucas was the source of these rumors. After another escalation of tensions, the two agreed to meet once more on Bloody Island on September 27th. This time, the only change in procedure was a much shorter distance, only 10 feet apart. The two men fired on each other again, and this time, Benton's shot mortally wounded Lucas. As Lucas lay dying, Benton is said to have asked for forgiveness. Lucas refused to give it at first, but is then reported to have said, "I can forgive you, I do forgive you." Whether these magnanimous last words are genuine or not, we will never know. Benton himself almost never spoke of the duel in later years. His reticence to speak seems to suggest a certain amount of shame about the event, or at least an awareness that it wouldn't be good for his political reputation if people thought of him as a killer. Nevertheless, the incident did not prevent Benton from being elected senator in 1821 and serving a decades-long career in Washington. The Lucas family, on the other hand, pushed their version of events, that Benton had behaved in a brutish and immature fashion, and that the young Charles Lucas, only 25 at the time of his death, was a paragon of civic virtue, who represented all the best qualities of the time: honorable, courageous, and even willing to absolve his killer of the crime. Today, dueling is widely considered a barbaric practice, and rightly so. But this incident reveals much about the culture and attitudes of the time. For upper-class gentlemen of St. Louis, dueling was a matter of course when honor was on the line. And for Charles Lucas and Thomas Hart Benton, honor was something worth dying for.
To learn more about the Missouri Historical Society, visit mohistory.org.